Hello and welcome to another episode of the In Between Podcast. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Hello and thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the In Between Podcast with your host as always, Kyle McLemore. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for stopping by. That's right. It's been a few days. It's been a few weeks, actually. I think it's been almost exactly a month since we've been in studio. So thank you so much for returning. Apologies for the away, but you know how it is. You take off one day and one becomes two and then becomes three, and then overtime starts at work and you got less time to do this, and it just stacks and stacks, and I could have let it go. There was a passing glimpse of a moment where I just almost could have just let it go, but then I said, nah, that, let's get this back on track, getting caffeinated from good old Diggity Duncan. Americano in the house. And I've been trying to get in the habit of using the old button here for various things like sound effects. Or perhaps changing the background. Whoa! Back to normal. But yeah, we're back in action on the pod. Thank you so much. I was also contemplating doing a review or two, because just because I'm not doing the review don't mean that I'm not out there seeing the movies. And maybe it's the combination of my laziness combined with the lack of good movies recently. But we can do a all spoilers episode if you like. Let's go ahead and look through my movie history real quick. We'll go back in the past. What's the last thing I reviewed? Oh, it's been a minute. Oh boy, I guess we do have lots to talk about. Last thing I talked about was Blue Beetle, I guess. But since then, I guess we'll start right there. Back in early September, we saw the Equalizer. Throw it up, Equalize. Denzel. For number 3, I don't know. First of all, alright, getting back in the habit here. So first of all, this is going to be all special spoiler episode. I'm going deep on all these movies because I don't think I've really had a chance to talk to hardly anybody about these movies. So this is going to be a lot of me just venting out a lot of this movie. Full spoilers. A lot of these have been out for a while, so if you haven't seen it yet, that's on you. I don't know. I guess I'll try to hold back on crazy spoilers. I don't think any of these movies really have like a big Equalizer 3 at the end. What a twist. Like, the twist is it's not that good of a movie. Boom, there's your twist. Spoiler, not that great. I'm trying to battle my allergens as well yesterday. Going for a walk in the morning, and like I went down the path, and as I'm coming back, the people for the city or whatever, they're like destroying all these weeds, and there's just like this cloud of pollen, just like hee haw hee. And so like ever since yesterday, it's been like insane allergies. But anyway, back to the movies again. If you want to see The Equalizer Part 3 spoiler free, stop now and return later, or maybe just fast forward a little bit, or maybe just listen and enjoy. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's anything that crazy spoily, but you had your warning shot. Equalizer 3, let's think about it. It's been like a good month since I saw it, but you know what was the craziest part is that it's got little Dakota, who's not so little anymore, middle-aged Dakota now. Dakota Fanning pops up, and I was like, oh shit, Dakota Fanning. Awesome. Love Dakota Fanning. Great actress. Amazing. All right, whatever. Watching it, and like as I'm watching it, I'm just like, this is just like a weird knockoff of Man on Fire. Like, why is this movie making me want to watch Man on Fire so bad? Man on Fire. And then like out of nowhere, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm an idiot, dude. Like, of course, Dakota Fanning was the girl in Man on Fire. What is wrong with me, dude? Like, it took me like completely halfway through the movie where I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. What is wrong with me? No wonder I'm sitting here like wanting to watch Man on Fire, because it's basically a sequel kind of to Man on Fire. But yeah, it's also Equalizer. I don't know. It's not quite action-packed enough to be like on John Wick level. It's just like, I don't know. I remember the first one being like, okay. Second one, honestly, I can't remember it at all. And it's, you know what? I even watched it too to like make sure I was like caught up for number 3. Not necessary, but I did it anyway. Is it necessary? No, but I did it anyway. Yeah, completely unnecessary. Oh, Pedro Pascal's in that one. That's one of the ones that doesn't hit Pedro Pascal. There's also like this weird, the finale takes place like in a weird CGI hurricane. So it's like you're in like a Category 7 hurricane, but everyone's just like walking around unaffected by these breeze and rain and debris in the air. Like, it just looks terrible. So in this one, he goes to like Italia, like he's like retired or something. What is it? Yeah, he's like retired. He like falls in love with the town. I think he gets like injured. He's like massacring like somebody, kind of like stops at this town to heal up for a bit, falls in love with the town. The town is being taken over by bad guys, so now I gotta step in and equalize. It's not that great. Also, you know what? They took out like the one thing about the Equalizer that's like its one gimmick. The watch thing, like, right? Like, he's like, all right, here we go. Boop, boop. See how long it takes me to murder this room. Ba-cha-cha-cha-cha. Boop, boop. Like, they don't even do that. Like, maybe it's because Denzel's getting like too old for the action, but like, every action scene is like you're only coming in the aftermath. Like, you go in there and they're like, oh my God, there's a massacre in here. Like, you only see the after effects. You don't see him actually going at it. It's a little bit disappointing that they don't even do the one thing that Equalizer is known for. Like, the fuck? But I don't know. And then also the bad guy was like very uninteresting bad guy who's just taking over the town for some reason. Yeah, it just wasn't that good. I think there was like only one part that I enjoyed. He's like doing the pressure thing, like, oh, he's like, you're at like a 4 right now. I can go to a 10. If I go to like a 7, you're gonna shit your pants. Like, you don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah, Denzel had me dying, dude. But it was cool. I mean, seeing like the reuniting of him and Dakota was like probably the best part. It was crazy seeing like just straight up middle-aged or older than I am. I don't know how old Dakota Fanning is, but seeing her all grown up with Denzel, kind of cool. Reunited. I saw the retirement plan with Nicolas Cage. Throw it up, dude. It was this weird low. I knew nothing about it. I saw it pop up. I was like, I don't want to see a trailer. I purposely don't want to know nothing, dude. I'm going into this blank. All I know is it's got Nick Cage, and that's enough for me. Oh, and Jackie Earl Haley was in it, and I was like, dude, I'm in. All right, say less. And it is such a pile of dog shit, dude. Like, it's trying so hard to be like Guy Ritchie. It's trying so hard to be Snatched with like with like their names. Johnny the Tooth or whatever. Billy Hardnose. Every single time there's a character introduced, even though they're introducing characters like 2/3 of the movie in, they still do John. It's like, dude, stop it. Yeah, it was not a good movie at all. I don't really have much to say about that one other than it's just this weird, low budge, weird. Oh man, Ron Perlman too. I think that's what drew me in too. Is just this amazing cast. Jackie Earl Haley, dude. Ron Perlman, Nicolas Cage. Fantastic cast. Just a hell of a weird movie. Terrible writing, terrible execution. Twists that make no sense, dude. That movie was out of control, crazy. But you want to talk about, all right, so now we're getting into spoilers. A Haunting in Venice. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, because I'm going to give away who the big reveal is at the end. Bum, bum, bum. Go ahead. Put it on mute if you want. This is your moment. Bum, bum, bum. It was Colonel Mustard in the pantry with the candlestick. It's another one of those directed by Kenneth Branagh, who I'm normally a huge fan of. Not only his acting, but his directorial stuff is usually great. It's usually pretty good. Oh boy. And it's part of that whole series, the Jacques Baudot, or the Baudot, fucking biggest mustache in all of crime fighting, dude. Yeah, he just solves, crazy mysteries, Sherlock Holmes kinda-ish, but with like an insanely big mustache, and it's Kenneth Branagh. But this one also had Tina Fey and all these other people. Whatever, dude. So it turns out it's... So the half twist is very whatever. It's like, it was her, and it's like, okay. But then there's a moment when he's like, but you mustn't blame yourself, and he's talking to the little kid. It turns out it's all the little kid's fault, dude. It's this big reveal where the lady thought that she's getting blackmailed, so then she forces the dad to kill himself, or else she's gonna kill everybody, so then the dad kills himself, and it's all traced back because the stupid kid was the one who was testing his theory on the blackmail. And so it's oh, cool, so you're kind of responsible for your own dad's death, dude. Crazy. Just overall, I mean, it's such a weird movie too, because it's trying to be spooky, sort of, but totally failing. And then also the mystery is not interesting at all. So it's misses on the spooky, it misses on the mystery, it misses on a lot of stuff. Tina Fey, her performance is weird too, because it's I don't know. It's a serious role, but she's always got this little smirky smirk. I don't know. It's just I'm just expecting Amy Poehler to also walk out, or Pete Davidson. I'm just expecting it to turn into an SNL skit at some point. But yeah, moving on to another one. Expendables, the fourth? Yeah, geez, it was the fourth one. They'll die when they're dead. Pretty crazy. Also a terrible movie. I mean, was anybody expecting Expendables 4 to be a banger, dude? Can anybody remember 1, 2, or 3? Can anybody distinguish between any of these movies? It's just a blur of Sylvester Stallone and explosions and Jason Statham. Oi! Hey, yo, Adrian. Oi, Jason Statham. And, whoever's special guest of that movie. I think that was, another thing that was, disappointing about this one. It's, there's always somebody. It's, I think in the last one, it was, Harrison Ford shows up, and you're oh, Chuck Norris. You're oh. I think Mel Gibson was, the bad guy in one of them. You're oh, shit, okay, you got Melly Gibbs, dude. You got Millie Gibbs in this? All right. And then for this one, it's number 4. Guess who we got? 50 Cent? It's oh. I mean, okay. And Megan Fox? It's okay. All right. I mean, I guess I'm not mad at it. It's just, I was expecting, The Rock, or, I mean, who else? Is there anybody even left from 80s movies that hasn't jumped in already? Who isn't what about actual Apollo? What about man, blanking on his real name. Apollo is also in Predator. Dude. I know his name too. And it's only here is where I won't be able to think of it because it's all the pressure. Carl Weathers, boom! Carl Weathers. Why didn't you have Carl Weathers pop up, dude? I always felt bad about Carl Weathers because it's Carl Weathers is so f***ing cool. Carl Weathers is the shit, dude. Have you seen him when he does his Arrested Development cameos, dude? It's incredible. amazing action star, amazing actor in general, not just with like action and drama, but comedy too. The dude is amazing, and I've always felt like it was such a lame. Not lame. It's just disappointing that like they had the whole thing with like Apollo and like Creed and like his son, and like it's just so kind of disappointing that like such a revival of Creed, but it's like his character's dead, so it's like you can never be in any of these movies. We can show your picture from like the previous movies, but even though you're alive and still like a working actor, you can't be in any of these movies, which is like, dude, it'd be so, do like a Happy Gilmore flash where you go to heaven and he's like, hey, what's up, playing the piano. It would just be cool to see, or I don't know, it'd be cool if he does like a Jedi ghost thing where he just kind of appears behind Rocky, just like, I don't know. I just always felt bad for Carl Weathers for not being able to be in any of the Creed movies, because technically he did. But, I mean, that would have been awesome to see Carl Weathers pop up in the... Dude, he could have done with Arnold, the handshake, the Predator. Ugh. That would have been sick. I can't even remember, like, any highlights. Oh, I remember. There's a spoiler. That's like the big twist. Is it, like, they should have left it how it was at the beginning, because... It starts out, they're going on some stupid mission like 5 minutes into the movie, and Sylvester Stallone's like in the plane, and he's like by himself, and he's like, hey, yo, Adrian, I'm going down. And they're like, oh no. He like crashes, and they run over, and it's like, all right, maybe they'll show just the people reacting, or maybe they'll show somebody look in the cockpit and like, oh. But they'll never in a million years show like the dead Sylvester Stallone, right? Ever. Dude, they run up on this cockpit. It is a melted skeleton with like his hand sitting there with like his stupid, insane, expendable ring. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, they went for it. They got a melted Sylvester Stallone. That is unbelievable that they did it. Big twist is that it turns out he's alive. He had to fake his death because he's obviously too old to be in the movie, dude. That's why. He had to fake his death because he cannot be in this movie. Way too many fight scenes to keep up with. But, like, honestly, I felt like they should have kept it because it was so, like, oh, shit. They didn't just kill him. They straight up grab your face and, like, look at his melted corpse. Like, I was, like, honestly, like, okay. All right, Expendable is really going to murder the hell out of Sylvester Stallone. I should have known better, I guess. That was like the twist I didn't see coming. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, of course he never died. It's honestly a little fucked how they do it. He's like, hey, yo, it's me, I'm alive. Hey, remember that guy that was kind of a jerk in the bar at the beginning of the movie? I murdered him because he's like kind of a jerk. Like they do it as a joke, and it's like, bro, did he deserve to die a horrible fiery death? And then they show him, he's not even like unconscious. He like wakes up. He's like, huh? Oh, so it's like his last moments are pure horrific horror as he just fiery crashes to earth. All because he like, they say it at the beginning, it's like, he's like, hey, he beat me like in an arm wrestling contest. And they're like, that guy? Hey, yo, I was kind of a little bit tipsy. Hey, yo. And it's like, that's why he deserves to die horrifically, Sylvester Stallone? What the fuck? Other than that, and not so good. Also, like, yeah, nothing else memorable. There's no cool fight scenes, really. There's no cool bad guy. Who is the bad guy? The fact that I cannot recall speaks a lot to that movie. But how about we talk about the creator? Creator. Create a more interesting movie. Create a little more engaging characters or something. That movie it's creating some boredom is what it's doing. I don't even think there's any spoilers I can spoil on this, other than it's just a pretty boring movie. It's just like, there's stuff I liked for like a second. Like, it's cool. The big giant ship is kind of cool. it's got like this giant laser beam that's cool for like 1 second, but it gets a little bit weird. It's like, first it's like an X target, and then it's like changes its laser to something else, and like it's just like, hey, whoever's up there switching the controls on the laser, take it easy. Just constantly like, okay, geez. And then also, I think the biggest thing about that is just such a, is it lazy or is it just bad? I don't know. The writing on it is just like, it's missing so much explanation of anything. Like, there's a part of the beginning when they're just like giving you a little recap of like what's going on. They're just like, AI was so cool and we kept advancing it, and you know what's cool? AI. And then it was so cool that one day it dropped a nuke on us. And you're like, wow, why? And they're just like, we don't know. You don't need to know. Anyway, so it dropped a nuke on us, and now we're at war with AI. And you're like, okay. And there's like a bunch of, humanity is basically split between those who fight AI and those who love AI. And it's like, but didn't they drop a nuke on them? Why do the people love AI? And they're just like, you don't need to know. Don't need to know. All you need to know is just, they're fighting. And it's like, okay, all right, I guess, does it make sense? Not really, but sure, okay. And then, like, the little girl, too, like, it just never feels like any kind of bond between, like, the main dude and, like, the AI girl. And it's also, like, how did they, she doesn't really do that much. I mean, she's always just, like, turning off the power, lights on and off. And then also they're weird about, like, he's explaining, like, I didn't kill him, I just turned him off, I just turned him off. And it's like, isn't this like a weird AI thing? Like, but it doesn't understand death? Isn't it connected to, like, all information? Also, like, I don't know, dude. It's just a snoozer, and then it's just like, I feel like there's really no good explanations. And then, like, the leader of the AI, the whole time they're chasing the leader of the AI, and it turns out it's his girlfriend, but she's been in a coma for, like, the last 5 years. And it's like, all right. And then, like, just make it, it's just, I don't know, it's just, everything that's revealed is just like, oh, okay. And then, like, they download her memories into a chip so she can, like, live, so she can wake up for, like, 1 second. She's like, hey, what's going on? As the ship's, like, going down. What a way to wake up, to just like, wow, I've been asleep for 5 years. What's that? Oh, my God. It's the same thing with the Expendable. You just wake up, huh? Oh! I'm trying to think of, like, anything good. Even, like, I was hyped on, what is his name? Ken Watanabe? Ken Watanabe. Who is awesome, dude. He's a really good actor. Inception is the only thing that comes to mind. But he's awesome, but he's also barely in it. He doesn't even, like, really have any lines, and he's just like, hey, he's just, like, in the background shooting all the time, and it's just like, this is whack. I don't know. I can't even, like, pretend to be, like, excited about talking about the creator, because it was just so whack. Just boring. Yeah, it's just boring. I don't like it. But what about X? Saw X. Alright, so buckle up on Saw X. I'm going to spoil the fuck out of this movie. First of all, not good. It's okay, not good. But why? Why isn't it good? Because it basically says, like, fuck you, like, 3 times. There's a part at the beginning where he's like, okay, first of all, it's stupid, dude. It's so stupid. And it also reminds me of, like, it really had me. I went back and watched, like, number 3, which I thought was, like, one of my favorites. Like, in between, like, 1 and 3, I thought was, like, definitely one of my top Saw movies, because after 3, I could not tell you for the life of me, even if I was trapped in a Saw torture device, and he's like, I want to play a game. Tell me the plot of Saw 7. I'd be like, oh, dude, murder me now, because I don't have any clue what that movie was about. After 3, it's just a blur of torture scenes and like people being killed for reasons I don't understand, and crazy twists where it's like the timeline, and dude, the timeline on Saw is insane. It's so like goes forward, but then like part 8 is actually happening at the same time as part 1. Like it's so intertwined that it's like very hard to comprehend, especially when I've barely seen like episodes 4 through 9. I can't even remember. But anyway, that brings us to 10, which is like kind of a prequel-ish. It happens like, honestly, I don't even know, dude. At least after 2, maybe between 2 and 3, between 1 and 2. I don't know, but it's in the past. He's like going to Mexico to get like this experimental treatment or whatever, gets totally taken advantage of like the moron that he is, the stupid old man that he is, dude. There's a part where he goes to Mexico, they pick him up, and he's like, hey, I want to play a game, take me to this place. They take him like halfway, and this van like cuts him off. People jump out with ski masks on, hold him at gunpoint, and they're like, fucking get up on the, I'm gonna blow your brains out, old man. And in this time frame, he's still a crazy old man who has like crazy brain cancer, and they're like shaking him with a gun to his head, and they're like, I'm gonna count to 3 and you're gonna fucking die. And then they're like, just had to test you, dude. It's all just part of the whole system here, dude. That's how we test, to make sure you're legit, because, you know, we don't want the FDA showing up, right? Because this is like off the books. So right there, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? If I was John Kramer, I'd be like, are you people out of your mind? I'm a 70-year-old man with brain cancer, and you're pointing guns in my face in Mexico with ski mask on, dude? Like, what is going on? Jesus Christ. And then there's like a whole, there's such a fuck you moment where they're just like, he sees a guy like in the hospital. He's like a nurse, but he's like going through the old man's stuff, like gonna steal his gold watch. And he's like, goes through this whole sequence of like torture and like sucking out his eyeballs. But then it's all just like a fantasy sequence, dude. It's all just like, I was just imagining it. Hey, he sees him he's like, puts the watch back. And he's like, you made the right choice. And it's like, you, old man. Get the fuck out of here. Just such a you to the audience to have like a whole entire crazy torture sequence and then just have it be like, man, it was a dream sequence. And then you know what else is crazy about that movie is that I think like in at least two of the crazy torture things, I feel like they do it. They do everything that is asked of them, and they still get murdered. The stupid girl has to chop her leg off and like suck out some bone marrow, and you got to do it enough so the scale tips. She does it. She does everything they asked. She chops her own leg off, which you would think that'd be enough right there. Chopping your own leg off is quite the feat. Pun. Quite the ordeal, if you ask me. I've never done it, but it seems like it takes a lot out of a person to chop their own leg off. But that's not enough for Kramer. You know, as a huge Seinfeld fan, it really threw me off because people are screaming that the whole movie, like they know his name. So the whole movie, they're just like, Kramer! It's just like, I just kept thinking of like Seinfeld. They're just like, Kramer. Billy, billy, boo. Every time the torture thing kills somebody, Billy, billy, boo. The Seinfeld theme. Skilly, pow, pow. Boop, da, boop, da, boop. But yeah, so anyway, like, yeah, she does it. Not okay, so it's not enough that she cuts her leg off. She then has to like jam this suction tube into her bone to get the marrow out, dude. So it's like she does that too. She does that too. And then the scale is going down, and it's like the timer's counting down. 3, 2, 1. And I swear to God, dude, the scale is like a millimeter of fucking hair away from being like at the line, and they're just like, sorry, you lose, and it like chops her head off. And I'm just like, okay, she basically did it. Jesus, like, goddamn, like it just, I mean, because she didn't do it 1 second faster, you have to kill her. Same thing with the other dude. He has to, what does he have to do? Oh, motherfucker has to like, okay, so it's not enough to cut a piece of your skull off, dude, which he does. And it's like, all right, you did it. Great. Your brain is exposed. Not enough for Kramer. He also has to like pick out a piece of his brain and like dissolve it in some acid, which he does, dude. He takes out a chunk of his brain and just splunk it into the acid. And it's like, bleh. Again, he's like, boop, 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 a hair away from it being at the line. And it's just like, time's up. You lose. Dude. It's so crazy how it's like, well, he pretty much did it, Kramer. Like, what the fuck, bro? Which makes it even weirder with, like, the ultimate bad guy, the ultimate villain of the movie, who's, like, the lady in charge of the whole operation, who's, like, screwing over all these people. They play that, you know, the big twist, which isn't even like a big, it's honestly, I don't even know how much do I want to get into it. How much time do I have? Because my God, when you really start to think about the finale, it makes no sense, dude. He had to plan for, like, the husband to show up. Oh, twist, it's actually her husband. He had to plan for them to, like, get the jump on him. He had to plan for them to be like, all right, now, fuck you. I'm not just going to shoot you. I'm going to put you in your own torture device, Kramer. Dude, they also just, like, grab some little kid off the street. She's like, out of nowhere, she's like, it's not enough for me to kill you. I want to, like, kill somebody innocent to really, like, be a fuck you to Kramer, like, which I don't know how it made sense. So she just gets some child off the street and, like, puts him in the torture device with Kramer, which was, of course, all part of his plan, by the way, because, like, it's part of his plan to, like, get waterboarded by blood. And then it's also part of his plan for them both, the bad guys, to be like, all right, this is boring. We're just going to go to the other room. Once they finally leave to the other room, the doors, oh, he wanted us in this other room. Oh, he planned to be waterboarded by blood. The violin's going so hard. And then, like, I don't know, it's like this weird airborne acid that's, like, burning her. But, like, if you stick your head out the window, you'll survive until the timer goes off. Which she does. Like, so she just gets, like, kind of burnt a little bit. And then she's just like, Kramer! And that's it. And that is it. She gets, like, you know, kind of fucked up and burned a little bit. But, like, overall, she's still totally alive. Overall, she even has, like, all of her limbs and, like, full mobility and everything. Arguably the biggest villain, not even arguably, the biggest villain of the movie, who turns out to be, like, a complete psychotic sociopath grabbing children off the street to torture them. And she doesn't even get murdered at the end, dude. He, like, lets her go. Like, oh, hope you learned your lesson. It's so confusing. It's so weird, dude. It's such a stupid movie. And then, like, yeah, like, I was like, okay, so the other people get this f***ing close to winning your stupid game. Nah. But, you know, that lady, the biggest villain of the movie, just, like, burn her a little bit and, like, you know. She also, like, no hesitation murders her husband. Like, she's a horrible, horrible character. Doesn't die. Just totally fine at the end of the movie. It's weird that he's just like, peace, I'm going back to America. Kramer! Dude, the amount that they scream, Kramer! And all I could think of was just Seinfeld. It's crazy. And that brings us to the grand finale. That brings us to the piece de resistance. That brings us to... What is music? For some reason, I can only think of the Halloween. But it's not that. Exorcist. Believer. Exorcist. Believer. The Justin Bieber experience. Exorcist is so bad, dude. Exorcist is such a... Crazy how bad that movie is, dude. I'm not even talking as a bad horror movie. I'm not even talking like a bad sequel. I'm talking one of the worst movies I have seen all year, dude. That's how bad it is. It's crazy. It's baffling. It's confusing how you can make such a bad movie. So lots to say about it. First of all, the same director who took over like the previous Halloween franchise, and he does the same thing. He brings the same thing to this movie where it's like, he was like at Halloween, he's like, hey, basically, I know that the Halloween franchise has taken its twists and turns, right? Halloween, this is like Halloween 19 or whatever. I think there is H2O, 20 fucking movies in that franchise. And so he's like, okay, look, I acknowledge Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and now there's my movie. Like, we're doing a straight sequel from 2. We're just going to live in pretend world where that other crazy adventure doesn't exist, which I respect. And it's like, all right, that's cool. That's a cool way to do it. Terrible execution. Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills or whatever the last Halloween where they all just fucking hoomba, hoomba, yeah, hoomba. And they fucking carry him to the trash compactor when the entire town, including like all the children, are like, yay, with like sparklers, dude, as they all just like, hoomba, yeah. And then they just toss him in the trash compactor, dude. It's crazy. But yeah, same dude and same idea of like, look, I know that there are other Exorcist movies. I know that there's like 2 and 3. I know that it goes wild. I am saying that we're going from 1 to Belieber, okay? So 1 to Believe, that's what we're doing. Which again, it's like, okay, I respect it. Let's see what you got. And what he's got is one of the worst movies of the year, dude. So they made it such a big deal that f***ing what's-her-name from the first movie comes back. And it is so... There's so much of this movie that doesn't make sense, dude. Such bad writing in this movie. Such confusing and, like, constantly just like, what? Huh? 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 Constantly in this movie, dude. She comes back. Do you remember her character? She's an actress. She's just some actress, dude, whose daughter gets possessed by Satan. So in this movie, she's like, yeah, I was an actress until that whole exorcism thing, and then I dedicated my life to exorcism. I wrote this book about my experience. I've traveled and studied, dude. I've studied everything I could. She's talking so much shit about how she is just the shit. And then she just takes it upon herself to be like, when they finally like go face to face, oh my God, she's like, she recognizes me. And it's like, what? No, there's been no recognition. What are you talking about? And then she just takes it upon herself to be like, oh, the power of good, I command you, leave this child. And it's like, lady, who put you in what? Since when do you have the power, dude? What the f*** is happening? So many stupid lines, dude, where they're like talking about her and her daughter. You remember her, the one who was actually possessed? The one who, like, you would think if they're going to have somebody come back to fight the devil again, it would be the one that was possessed. Who cares about the mom who wasn't even, like, She even acknowledges it, dude. She's like, I wasn't actually in the room, they wouldn't let me. And it's like, you're talking all this shit and you weren't even f***ing present for the exorcism, bitch? What are we talking about? And then she's like, yeah, so I wrote this book and my daughter, oh man, after that book got successful, my daughter was so mad at me. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, dude. Do you know how long it takes to, you gotta write the book, you gotta do a first, second, third, fourth draft, you gotta get a fucking editor, you gotta get it published, you gotta go through months and months of work on this book, and never once your daughter was like, hey, I don't like this, hey, that's not cool. Hey, you're exploiting me for money. Hey, it wasn't until the book came out and was successful that she had a problem with it. It makes no sense. Fuck you to the audience, basically, is what you're telling me. I'll leave out a small spoiler about what her eventual fate of the movie is. It's probably the only part of the movie that was enjoyable. But again, I'll spoil the shit out of some other stuff, like how it's... Oh my god, it makes no sense. I'm getting, frustrated because it's annoying how little sense it makes. Dude, they do an Expendables team up with, the religious Expendables, dude. They go around and they get the Joel Osteen guy, the big preacher of the church who looks honestly kind of like Joel Osteen. And they're like, we need that guy. And then we need the voodoo lady, the African lady who knows the witches, the roots and the earth and the voodoo. And we need her too, get her in here. And it's we need the regular priest, the guy who's got the sign off from the Vatican. They're doing this whole team up thing. And it's okay, sure, all right. Never once does the Joel Osteen guy do anything. He's just standing there the whole movie. Doesn't do the whole time. I'm just why is he here? I thought because, spoiler alert, the priest who's supposed to do it pusses out, dude. He's oh, the Vatican said no, so I can't. Plus, I'm kind of scared. So then this lady, dude, this random nurse who is their neighbor, who is constantly sticking her nose into everybody's business, dude. She's like, hey, I'll do it. I'll do the exorcism. I was born to do this exorcism. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, you didn't know? I was going to be a nun. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, until I banged some dude. And they're like, oh, shit. And she's like, yeah, straight up aborted that baby, too. Fuck. And it's are you people out of your minds, dude? This is the lady that we're going to have in charge? The hypocritical nun who, the shit out of some dude and then didn't even keep her baby? And you're going to be all holier than thou? Are you kidding me, dude? And then basically, to my understanding, an exorcism is basically just a roast battle, dude. It's basically just who can roast the other person the hardest, bro. Who can roast the other person the hardest, bro? Because that's all they do. They just talk. There's no, I don't think anybody threw a drop of holy water. Nobody did anything. All they do is you just read your book and then they just, oh man, I hate it when you read these words. And then to defend themselves, they just talk shit. The possessed person just talks shit. So they're just oh, I hate it when you read the Bible. Hey, Sister Mary, aren't you that stupid bitch that had sex? Blah, 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 blah. And then Sister Mary, oh, my feelings are so hurt that I can't read anymore. No, Mary, you must keep reading. It just makes no sense, dude. It's so weird and dumb. And then also, the weird fluctuation of power. It's they snapped this dude's neck. So it's why don't you do that to everybody? Why aren't you just snapping everybody's necks? How are you restraining? Why aren't you just breaking free? What are the rules, dude? What are the rules? Also, what is with Satan possessing kids? Wouldn't it be better for Satan to like possess the president or something? You know what I mean? Like, why is he always possessing people that it's like, how is it progressing the ultimate master plan to, make evil win by possessing like a 13-year-old girl from some town nobody's ever heard of that, like, it just seems weird. It just seems like a weird target. You know what also is weird? How they basically just say, fuck this other girl, dude. That's like another, I guess you could call it a twist. A stupid twist, I guess. They have to choose. One girl lives, one girl dies. They pick one dies. That's the big twist, is that when one of them dies, dude, she dies so horribly. The last time we see her, her soul is being like violently dragged to what we assume is the horrible depths of hell. And that's kind of just how the movie ends, dude. If anything, this movie should be called Exorcism 2. The devil strikes back, dude. Satan strikes back. Because this movie is a fucking slam dunk for Satan, dude. He completely wins. That girl dies horribly, and her soul is dragged to hell. It's a complete win. They murder that priest like nothing, dude. Complete slam dunk for Satan on this one, dude. It was ridiculous. And then, you want to know what the best part of this whole movie is? The absolute cherry on top is that the entire deal that was made between Blumhouse, like buying the rights to the movie, is that part of the deal is that this movie, they have to do a trilogy, dude. They have to do a 1, 2, 3, no matter what. Even if this movie is a flippity flop, which, mark my words, it is, dude. This movie is gonna tank. Because it's not even scary, dude. There's no jump scares. There's no creeping. There's nothing scary in this movie, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy how it's just terrible storytelling and also no horror in an exorcism movie. This movie is going to bomb so hard, and they still have to make 2 more movies, dude. And they don't even unless there was something after the credits. I didn't wait. When that movie hit black, I sprinted out of that because I could not wait to leave. Also, my God, the way they ended, dude. It ends on the most lame, boring, self-righteous, up your own ass monologue I've ever heard in my life of that stupid nun just being like, you know what evil is? What I'll tell you what I think evil is. Evil is people just letting evil be. Evil is when you walk down the street and you don't help your neighbor. It's like some stupid monologue that just ends on such a flat note, dude. It's just like, and then it's just like fade to black, and you're just like, what did I just watch, dude? Oh, it's bad. Yeah, and we can still look forward to 2 terrible sequels to that terrible, and then talk about a real fuck you to all the original content, dude. I mean, and they make a whole big deal about this being like 50 years on the dot, dude. 50 years today the original came out, and it's like 50 years, and this pile of dog shit is what you have to like be a sequel to the original. Like, my God, what a terrible movie it was. But yeah, that was fun. So we get caught up on some movies and caught up on how we've all been, and it's good to see you, and I'm glad you're back here, and hopefully you're glad to see me too. So thank you so much. If you haven't already, well, hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps the pod, and it's much appreciated by this guy. I am your host as always, Kyle McLemore. We'll see you next time on the pod.